August 8 on Nintendo. 1963 during the Dark Night. A Royal Mail train was traveling from Glasgow to London. There were bags full of notes in the train compartment, which almost 67 million pounds, or 800 million rupees today. Train driver Jack Mills. Then they went into the darkness of the night. Then suddenly the red light of the signal flashed at a crossing. It was a good thing for the driver, because at the time, and there was no sign of redness there, good driver Jack Mills immediately braked and thrilled the train. He stopped on the way. For a while there was silence on every side, but behind that silence was a master plane, which was the greatest of the centuries. The great train robbery in which the train was stopped. The story of a movie, but even in the railroad, the robbers were full of suspense and British government, millions of pounds returned from the train. And he didn't shoot a single one. It all started a few months ago when we moved to London. Mayne criminals to perform a new feat. And they sat down together. Bruce Reynolds, who was the mastermind behind the plan. He joined a few of his colleagues. Start planning an unprecedented robbery. Does it have Britain's National Postal Service? The Royal Mail had a secret information. This secret information, he was met by a senior security officer from the Royal Mail, whose name no one knew. The information was that a special train from Glasgow to London. The boxes, which is also called High Value Packages, or HVP. There was a lot of money on that particular day, and they returned to it. Bruce Reynolds and his associates must have been main criminals, but they had no experience returning to the train. They were in London together, added the gang to this plane. Those who returned to the train. This bad name, the gang was known as the South Coast Readers. The team grew slowly, and there were more than 15 of them. Then they returned to the train. It wasn't a train, and it wasn't a train. It was planned for months. 7th August Nintendo. 63 evening 6. 50 minutes on the train. From Glasgow Central Station to London. He leaves. The next morning at London's Euston Railway Station. It was 4 o'clock. This train had a total of 12 containers and a safety to post. The office staff was also there to set up the miles during the trip. This train only. Drive parcels and mail to drop off in different cities. So he made it. They dropped parcels at various stations. Whenever a station comes, there are local post office staff. Hanging sacks on a special elevated rake. When the train passed the platform, it was slow. And the staff sitting inside, he was helped by a latch. And those who had to leave the station, then they were taken to the platform. Without this process, the mail was distributed to various stations, which would have been a robbery. He wasn't on the train yet. It was safely parked at the Nine Valley Railway Station. It was called HVP because there was a lot of money in it. Those who used to live in other cities. 3 years before this incident, Post Office Investigation Branch, IB to increase the security of HVP dubs. The security system was instructed. And 3 in Nintendo 61. This security alarm system in HVP dubs, they were taken, and the old ones who had no knowledge of security, they were kept in reserve. But the robbery day was the most important. On that day, the guards were out of service, so a reserve box. M was supposed to use 30 to 04M. There was no security system. It was a great tip. The robbers came from the insiders of the Royal Mail. When I left Glasgow, train. When the railway station reached Nine Valley, the railway staff put HVP on, after the engine, connected to the second. This was the first time the robbers had met. But the second tip was even more important. Nearly 3 million pounds of money in normal HVP bins. It was because last week was a bank holiday weekend, the day of the robbery. There was about 3 million pounds of cash. And that was the tip number 2. What happened today? Maybe once a year. They're going to get more money. And the security of the HVP box was bad. It wasn't for the robbers. They had been planning that day for months. Good train departed from Nine Valley Station, including HVP compartment. It was night and the driver of the train, 58-year-old Jack Mills. They were quickly moving towards their destination. There is also a railway station, and they sat in the woods. Their planning was perfect. 8th August Nintendo 63. At around 3 p.m., a group of robbers, tamper with Sears Crossing signal, started the chase. He put a glue in front of him to hide the green light. Then he turned on the lights and turned on the red light. Used a battery. Then they waited for the train. When the train approached the Sears Crossing, the driver, see the red light here? Quite surprised, because normally the train is not stopped at this crossing, especially the Royal Mail train. Jack Mills braked and stopped the train at the right signal. And suddenly there was silence everywhere. The assistant driver is also known as the second man. He got off the train, so that the signal, with the help of the telephone on the side of the line, you can contact the man. When they signaled, I picked up the phone and realized it was his line. It was part of the robbery. Now the second man turns back to the engine. Then they came out of the woods, and they did it, controlled. Some bandits, both sides of the engine mounted, and the driver controlled. Also tried. When Jack Mills resisted, a robber iron rod hit their heads, and they became unconscious in the driving seat. The robbers came with the whole plan. When the engine was up, at the same time, some team members left the first two dubs after the engine. Separated from the train, their plan was to take the train away from here. Where's the end? Bride was bridged about a mile from Sears Crossing, and there was a truck of bandits. He also brought with him a retired railroad driver, which was to carry the train to the bridge. Even what happened was according to plan. And then the robbers faced the first trouble. They brought the driver with them. He was shocked to see the new engine, because he never used that engine. The robbers tried to bring Jack Mills to his senses, and forced him to take the train a mile away. Now the engine and the two boxes are running again. And a mile away, Bride went to the bridge and stopped him. The rest of the train, those who were left behind, they didn't know why the train stopped. Bride? The robbers broke the door of the HVP box, and inside, 5 staff members were injured, and their mouths. He was tied to the ropes, and he began his work. Total 180 sacks of cash in HVP cans. They were filled. These were 1 pound, 5 pound notes and tan peel notes. Their total weight was about 2.5 tons. The train was on the bridge and a truck on the road below. And then the robbers came to them. It was only 15 minutes. So they created a human chain. And 128. Load the boars into the truck. The remaining 8 sacks were dropped due to reduced time. Their plan worked perfectly. In the end, there was only one mistake. The ones who are most helpful to them. A robber said to the staff tied up in the HVP box, "Do not try to get up for 30 minutes. Otherwise John will be gone." The robbers had a stun-loaded Star truck, which was loaded with cash and 2 Land Rovers. They were to mislead the witnesses. There was only one number. BMG 757A. Then they all fled. After about 45 minutes of driving, at 4:30 p.m., they came to their hideouts. From the place of the wind, it was about 43 kilometers from the village of Oakley. He also listened to the police on VHF radio. They helped them a lot. When they came to their hideout, the police were also aware of the robbery. Now they were very happy, and they drank a lot of wine. I even played a game there, and also from the real notes. But they were only a few minutes away. A little while later, they found out with the help of the radio. The police are looking for them in the 50-kilometer radius. 50 kilometers. The police were responsible for this incident. Then they fled for half an hour. The police had a good idea in half an hour that they will be within 5 miles. When they heard this, they were terrified. Now they planned to get out of the hideout that was Sunday. They moved on Friday. Then, on the 3rd day, they shared all the money. The money returned was about £2.5 million. According to some reports, each came in £500,000, which was a huge amount at that time. In every part of it, £3.9 billion came in today. The rest of the money split into small rolls of helpers. Before Friday, remove your fingerprints from everything in the hideout. And one of them, after his departure, he will burn them out. No evidence to the police. He took the money, but the hideout escaped without burning. Police were searching throughout the city. Helicopters were flying over the city. Police cars were racing in the area and one on the national media. It was a bit of a mashup. The police informed the person. £10,000 in prize money. Then came a man who lived in the neighborhood of Hideout, and he reported to the police on the morning of August 8th. There was a lot of buzz there. The police immediately responded with suspicion. It was a limestone farmhouse. 3 months ago, the robbers... A lot of police there. All the evidence that was connected to this robbery as empty bores. Miles and also a truck, which was quickly painted yellow. The robbers had their fingerprints erased from here. But there were some fingerprints on that Monopoly, which they played with real money. These fingerprints in this case. It turned out to be a big breakthrough because there were no criminal records before them. Then they fingerprint. Police and Scotland Yard records matched. and the real offenders were found. In a few days, the police... 14 people were arrested. Only 2 people escaped from the police, in which was a replacement train driver, whose real name no one knew, and the second Royal Mail senior security officer, which was the whole plan. To this day, no one knows about it. He never showed his face, nor did he give his name. This is the biggest robbery of the century. Robbie almost called this gang. All of them were imprisoned for 30 years. Bride go bridge train after this rubber. Roberts became known as the Bridge. This is his new name to this day. Jack Mills, who 58 years. They were train drivers. Head injury again. He never did that job. And after 7 years, they left the world because of the shock. I hope you guys enjoy this video. Like and share. Thank you very much for your loving comments. See you in the next great video.